focus on the game tomorrow at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3 p.m. kickoff against in-form Wolves. After sacking Gary O'Neill, they are on a run of 2 wins, 3-0 and 2-0 last time out against Manchester United. They've got on-form Cunha, who seems to be one of the top players in the league right now. There's rumours about him potentially moving on in January. Apparently Wolves don't want to listen to any offers, but you know, Wolves, they've got some good players, and I always thought that probably where they are in the league is probably not where they deserve to be in terms of quality.
Well, I still think they're probably one of the weakest teams, to be honest. Like, probably good enough to stay up, but in terms of when I'm comparing their squads to anyone above the top 17, I don't think they're much better than to anyone else, really.
Thing is, though, like, yeah, you might be right, but I look at their squad and I look at who I really enjoy watching, and I think there's a few players there. So I think their goalkeeper, Sarr and even Johnston, 2 good goalkeepers there. They've got Bellegarde, who I've really enjoyed watching. They've got...
I think he's frustrating, that Bellegarde. I think he's good to watch, but then he doesn't do much.
Potentially, but you know, Ryan Aït-Nouri, who's a really good player. You've got João Gomez, who's a really good player. And then you've got players who have come in this season, Strand Larsen, and obviously Cunha, Hwang, and... yeah, I'll say Guedes there once in every 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying they've got
some really good players there.
This is the Premier League. I think most teams are going to have good players. I think there's a lot of teams I can point out, a lot of squads. I'm not diminishing what they have. They got good. They got good team. They got good players. They probably shouldn't. It's tough to say they shouldn't be in a relegation battle because, as I say, I'm looking at the squads of the other teams in the league, and they might be close to 15, 16 or 17 in terms of the quality of squad. But I do think there's a material difference between them, Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester. I think they've got much better quality in those squads, that's for sure. So I agree with that. They shouldn't be getting relegated. And the fact they were in the bottom 3, you know, and how they were losing games as well was not good enough. And that's why Gary O'Neill had to go. But look, he's turned it. Is it a new manager bounce, or is it something that will last? We'll have to wait and see with this new manager. But sometimes you get that when you've got quality in the squad like Wolves do, and maybe they were just tired of the same message under Gary O'Neill or what it was. But clearly the message wasn't getting through to them. They were just losing heavily too often. And they've now got a 2-0 win against United and a 3-0 win against Leicester. So fair play to them. 2 big wins. And look, in this Premier League, it's so tight, just 2 wins, and all of a sudden it just looks very different, even if the team's out the bottom. So, you know, 2 wins, and all of a sudden they're out of the relegation zone, and Leicester are looking up, and all of a sudden they're only 2 points behind Palace and Everton as well. So they'll be looking at let's try and catch them, and they could be, with a win, they could be up into 15th all of a sudden, having been 19th 2 weeks ago. So can change very quickly. You're standing in the Premier League with a few wins. So I think owners know that. But Cunha is obviously the star man right now for them. He's been phenomenal.
He really has.
He has been absolutely phenomenal. And now look, he's backed up from last year, because I think last year he made some material improvements in his finishing and his involvement in the final third. I think I said it before. He used to be one of these players that were just, you know, he used to be in the type of like a Dama Traore or someone like that, in terms of not the same style, but like the kind of player who would look incredible. He would like breeze past you, and then his finish would go well wide, or like he wouldn't make the wrong choice in the final third.
To be fair though, you are talking about his first year in the Premier League.
I'm talking about when that's why they got him from Atletico. Like, he wasn't great at Atletico. Like, he was a very frustrating player, and that's, you know, I think when they first signed him, I think I could see why Atletico let him go and no one else but Wolves went for him.
But I mean, he was young at Atletico though.
I know, but I think you could see why he was at Atletico, but also why Wolves were able to get him, because he was good, but he was just very frustrating. He couldn't make those moments in the final third count. And I think it was even, I remember last year I was watching it, first game of the season, they were away at Man United, and they lost 1-0, and he was exceptional, but he had about like 3 1-on-1s which he missed, and like he was breezing past players, but he just wasn't finishing his dinner for love nor money. He was just so frustrating in the final third, and he's really sorted that out. And you just knew with him, once he sorted that out, he's going to become one of the leading attackers in the league, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. He's carrying this Wolves team. I really believe that. Absolutely carrying it on his shoulder. I know you said they got good players, and they do, don't get me wrong, but in terms of without him, they would be very, very blunt in that final third, I believe. I don't think they would get anywhere near the amount of points or goals they do with him in the team. He has been that special for them, and he can do things on his own. He's a box of tricks. He can pull things out of the back. He can score from 25 yards. He can dribble past two players and put it in the top corner. He could get assists from the wing as well, play through balls. He's a hard worker into the team as well. He does get some bookings, but he has about a feistiness to him as well. I think I think Wolves basically enjoy him while you can, because I don't think he's going to be staying there for that much longer.
Yeah, I think by the summer he'll be gone. I don't think they'll sell him in January because they just need him in this relegation fight from now to the end of the season. But they'll get a good offer in the summer.
Wolves sell.
Yeah, they'll get a good offer in the summer and they will sell him. And I wish it would be for Tottenham, but I feel like he could go to even a bigger club than what we are. But
every goal adds about 10 million to his price.
Yeah, look, he got 19. He got 9.
Or 2 goals?
2 goals, I think it was. But he got
last year at Stamford Bridge.
19 goal contributions in 32 games last season.
Yeah.
He's already on 14 in just half a season this year.
It's growing and growing. How old is he as well? 24?
He's 25.
25?
Yeah.
So he's going right into the prime of his career. He was a youngster who had a lot of potential. A lot of people were talking about him, and that's why he got that move to Atletico. But obviously, never really fulfilled his potential there. But I think he's now really starting to fulfill his potential at Wolves.
Yeah, I completely
see
agree.
it.
He's class. He's an absolute class player. But he has got a upcoming ban, potentially 5 games. I don't know. Yesterday there was reports saying he was going to be. There's an immediate ban for 5 games, but that doesn't seem to be the case. He is going to be in the squad for this weekend, I'm led to believe. So we don't know how long the ban's going to be, but he does have a big ban coming his way for the brawl at the end of, was it the Ipswich game? I think it was, where he aggressively snatched someone's a coach's glasses off his face and was front and centre of the brawl at the end of that game.
He got charged, and there was a lot of rumours that he's already got a 5-match ban, but those were unfounded. So it's a bit similar to when Pentacle got charged, and we had to wait a while to see how long the ban was. So they're in that process now. Yeah,
I mean, if they handle it the same way as they handled Rodrigo Bentancur's ban, they'll probably give him a 10-match ban in the last 10 games of the season when they're fighting for relegation.
Probably, which would be right on Premier League's. Exactly. That's what they do. But he's such a big player for them, so those 5 games are going to be a big struggle when he's out. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Spurs and Wolves, but they just seem to get the better of us a lot. I mean, 2 wins in the last 2 games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think it was. Or did we beat? It says there we beat them. We beat them. That was right beginning of Conte's second season. It was have we not lost twice in a row to them at Tottenham? In Tottenham, we lost last year. No, we lost twice. They did double over us, but I don't think we lost. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, so they did. Well, anyway, they've beaten us 4 times in our last 5 games, which is nowhere near good enough. They've won 2 of the last 3 at Spurs. Yeah. Well, there you go. Last year was the one with Pedro Neto, and the one before that was at João Gomez when he scored 2 goals. No, last year was João Gomez. Oh, last year was João Gomez. Yeah. And that was Pedro Neto assisting both, I think. Oh, that was it. I was thinking of one game. Obviously, last year at the Molineux, we were 1-0 up until like the 90th minute, and we conceded 2 goals right at the end. The game at in February, that was at home. I remember that game. Obviously, wasn't a good performance, and João Gomez really stepped up for Wolves on that day. Decky equalised on just after the half-time. You're thinking they're going to go on to win, and then Wolves went on and won the game 2-1, and it was a disappointing display. They're one of these teams that just, at the moment, seem to have our number. I mean, who was in charge? It wasn't Gary O'Neill when they beat us. That was under Conte. That was just before he... Which game you're talking about? So in February 22, we lost 2-0 at home. Yeah. That was just before Conte... it was Bruno Lage was their manager. Bruno Lage. So they've had a few different managers in these runs, I think, and they've been still beating us fairly consistently. Since they've got promoted in 2018, I think was their first season back from being promoted, if I'm correct. They've beaten us 1, 2, 4 times at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium since then. And we've beaten them twice. It's mad. That is mad, isn't it? And you're looking at where Wolves have been and where Spurs have been trying to go. It's been nowhere near good enough. And, in all those 4 games, you're probably thinking about it. We're coming in and we're thinking we're going to win. I don't think we're going to win this weekend. And obviously I've been saying that for a number of games quite consistently.
But this Wolves side, I think they got their tails up at the moment. They got Cunha and a Strand Larson who can really hurt our backline, and we've got no recognised centre-backs coming into this game. So how the hell are we going to defend against one of the most informed players in the Premier League right now?
Yeah, probably not going to get a clean sheet. But you look, to be fair, more than we had Dragsham, I was going to say against Forest, I don't think defensively was our problem, really. But obviously going forward was.
But they have
bigger
bigger threats, Wolves.
They have bigger threats. Obviously, they've got Cunha. Yeah, I mean Wood. Is he a bigger threat? Is he not? Is he a bigger threat than Strand Larson? I'll probably say so. But
He's not a bigger threat than Cunha.
he's not a big. Yeah, Cunha's in just a fantastic player. He's a fantastic. It's going to be tough to keep him quiet, to be honest. It's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to break him down as well. We're going to have to, when we're on the ball, make sure that we're finding moments of quality, which the last game we weren't able to do. Before that, we've been scoring, but then we've conceding loads of goals. And then against Forest, we didn't concede so many, and then we just struggled to really create chances. So I haven't really been analysing their games in terms of, I don't know how good defensively they've been under the new manager. I know going forward they've got 5
Two
goals.
clean sheets.
2 clean sheets, but I don't know if that's been lucky or if it's been, have they really not conceded chances. It is Leicester and Man United teams who are struggling going forward at the moment. So this is obviously going to be their biggest test as well, as much as it's going to be a test for us. But look, it's going to be a very difficult game. Of course it is. Wolves are battling for their lives. They're in good form with 2 wins. They've got good players like Cunha and Larson, who's going to be hard to keep. And Ait Nouri as well. I think when I talk about Tottenham's struggles against wing-backs, obviously they got Semedo and Ait Nouri there, 2 pacey players. I'm not too worried about Semedo because I know he's fast, but I feel like when he gets in the final third, he can be a bit frustrating. He sometimes doesn't make the right decisions. But Ait Nouri is a bit different. I think he's got a bit of quality in that final third to actually do something if you give him space. And when we played against Man United, I felt like we actually dealt with their wing backs pretty well. But that's because Dalot and Mazraoui didn't know what to do with it once they got in that final third, and we dealt with it quite comfortably. But I think Ait Nouri, he's one I'm a bit more worried about, especially on that. He's going to be on that left-hand side. Porro's going to be coming back in with Spence being suspended. And if we give him too much space, he's very good at dribbling first and foremost. Really good at taking people on. And he's got that bit of quality. He's got a few goals. How many goal contributions he got this year? He's got a few, I think.
Yeah.
He's got a quality he makes some good decisions in the final third. So he's one and also he's probably going to be next to Cunha. There you go, 6. And he's going to be next to Cunha. So that link-up I'm a bit worried about, that side. I'm not too worried about the other side. I think we can deal with it. But the link-up between Ait Nouri and Cunha.
So Ait Nouri will be on the left then.
I think so. I think that's wrong, yeah.
So, I mean, if it's Ait Nouri on the left with Cunha on the left as well, getting in behind Pedro Porro, I mean, that is massive danger signs for us.
Yeah,
massive.
That's the side I'm a bit worried about. In terms of their back 3, from what I can see, like some teams when they play this 3 at the back system, it turns into a 5. But I'm looking at the average positions, and it does seem as though they play those wing-backs more like wingers than necessarily full-backs. So it does seem they leave them quite high up the pitch. They do leave that 3 isolated. Now, Doherty obviously has played fullback before, so he's comfortable in wide areas. Gomez and Bueno. Gomez is quite physical and pacey, and Bueno, he's quite tall. But if we can somehow isolate Bueno, there could be some space there. But that back 3, I mean, Doherty, you should be able to get him, Doherty. To be honest, I think
Sonny against Doherty.
Yeah, and Semedo though, because Semedo's one of those players. Although he's quick, he's not that great defensively. I'm not a massive fan
He's always got a foul in him as well, Semedo.
Yeah, I always feel like he's on the back foot a lot of the time. So Sonny's got to try and get some joy out of him. Ait Nouri, as much as he's great going forward, also defensively, I'm not a massive fan of him. I think he can be he can switch off at times defensively, but that's where people like João Gomez and Andre come in. João Gomez is very physical in the middle. He's got bundles of energy. Andre's come in for them and done quite well as well. If they were clever, they'd probably go with a 5-3-2 and play Cunha next to Larson and maybe add a midfield in there. If they do that, I can see it being a lot more difficult for us.
But you look at the midfield as well, with two real hard workhorses in there, like you mentioned, Andre and Gomez, right? You're looking at our midfield right now at the moment. Bentancur, I don't know who it's going to. Well, if it's going to be Basuma at centre back, it's going to be Bentancur, Sarr, and either a Kulusevski or a Madison in the midfield.
We're going to play a 2-5-4 or something.
2-5-4. Spurs.
1-5-4.
Ozzy Ardiles tactics.
Two centre backs who are midfielders. So 5 in the middle with Basuma, Gray, Bentancur, and 2 other midfielders.
What I'm saying is that Spurs are running on empty in the middle of the park. Sarr looked really leggy on the weekend. Bentancur wasn't really at the races, and Kulusevski looked really leggy as well. So if those two midfielders are fresh and energetic, they could win that midfield battle easily.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll go into the predicted lineup in a minute. But look, obviously the one thing that midfield offers you is we should have, if they're going to go the 2 in the middle, that is, we should have a numerical advantage, and that is not insignificant. Hopefully that's one thing you can try and take advantage of, in terms of if we're outnumbering them, can we just play around them and try and, especially if we maybe have one of Madison or Decky, or maybe even both of them, maybe it's one of the games to play both those players to try and play around them, and then all of a sudden we can be on their back line. But you're right. They're 2 very strong midfielders. They're 2 players who never stop running. They make things difficult for you. But also, especially in the case of João Gomez, technically also very proficient. Like, they get on the ball and they can play good passes as well, and they can have good charging runs going forward. So I think when I look at them, I think their biggest strengths as a team is they've got good driving runs, good in one-on-one dribbling ability in Aït-Nouri and Cunha. Obviously they play a 5-3-2, so they play quite wide but also quite narrow, with Cunha and Guedes in those number 10s, and then Aït-Nouri and Semedo stretching the pitch. So from that point of view, it's going to be a difficult game. Obviously, quality-wise on the pitch, whoever we play, we should have enough quality to go there and cause them problems. But they're also a team on good form, so depends what kind of Tottenham we're going to have a start like we did against Southampton, and a start like we did against Man United and against Chelsea, that kind of start, and then try and basically try and get in the lead and score as many goals early as possible, and see if we can basically hang on to that a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult. A player that hasn't been great for them this season, who's I think been on the bench since the new manager's come in, is Craig Dawson. I really hope he's starting, because he's been a source for a lot of frustration in the Wolves backline this year. But who they've been playing in the back line, like you mentioned, has been Doherty, Bueno and Totti in the back 3. So I don't think he's going to play. But every way I look at it...
I was watching some of the highlights, though, against Leicester. And although they won that game 3-0, Vardy had a shot off the line. He hit the post. Like, Leicester had chances in that game.
No, we're going to get chances. Of course we're going to get chances. But are we going to be able to stem the tide and keep them out the other end? I don't think we're going to be able to outscore them. I believe that we'll get chances, and I believe we'll put the ball in the back of the net, but I just don't believe that we're going to be able to outscore them.
If we can create more chances than them, that's all we can try and do, and let's hope we score more of them.
They've just got a player that's a lot more clinical than any of our players right now.
Cunha's at the moment one of the form players in the league, and probably going to be the form player on that pitch. But look, we've got the players that can do it. I mean, obviously Decky's always running on empty, but maybe you can find some new energy for Sunday. Madison, does he come back in? We'll do the predicted line in a minute, but look, Cunha's just one player. Hopefully we've got enough players to get over the line. Yeah,
I would have maybe agreed with you if we did have if we had a centre back, or maybe 2 centre backs if we're very lucky, but it looks like it will be Gray and Basuma at centre back. Is that going to be enough? Do they have the presence at centre back to really snuff out these 2 players? And it's not just Cunha, it's Strand Larsen as well, who I've been impressed with this season, a physical striker that's good in the air. Do we have kind of the tools to combat these players? I just don't think we do.
I mean, on the face of it, it's going to be very difficult. Obviously, I would have thought Wood on Thursday would have had more joy than he did, and he didn't, which surprised me.
But at least we had Dragoshin there, though.
We had Dragoshin. Now we don't even have him, but I thought Gray did all right. I actually thought Hudson-Odoi and Elanga didn't have too much. I know Elanga scored, but apart from his goal...
Also, Spence was a big part of that too.
Spence... Yeah, hopefully Porro rested a bit, so he can come in and be a bit fresher than he has been, hopefully. I mean, trying to look at where positives where we can. It's going to be difficult, and we probably will concede a goal, but hopefully we can limit them as much as possible and take advantage of the attacking play that we're hopefully going to create at home and put them under pressure, and hopefully we're going to dominate possession and keep their counters to a minimum. But look, it's going to be difficult with the players we've got at the back at the moment. 100%. Not going to say, I can't sit here and say it's going to be easy because they've got some good attackers and we've got no defenders. So are we going to be able to keep them out? It's going to be probably not. We're probably going to have to, probably will concede a goal, but can we score? That's what I've got to hope for.
Score prediction then?
2-1.
2?
Spurs.
2-1. You didn't say that quite convincingly.
2-1. I said that might. Well, I have no spoilers, but 2-1 Spurs. I'm going for it.
I'm going for 2-1 to Wolves. I do think we're going to lose the game. I think every time we come against Wolves, it's a really tough match, and this one's going to be the toughest of the lot with the injuries and the fatigue issues that we are going through. And Wolves do have a bit of a new sense of energy and optimism at the moment, and they do have one of the form players in the Premier League. So, unfortunately, I am going for a 2-1 win to Wolves at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But I want to know your predictions in the comments section below. Me and Sim will be at the game with